Access is not permission, it is filtration. You were taught the wrong model. You think access opens after effort, after proof, after usefulness. That belief already placed you below the gate. Power does not reward effort, it screens for position. Powerful people decide worth before conversation begins, before talent is visible, before value is demonstrated. They read posture, not resumes, pacing, not promises, leakage, not language. Access is a rank signal exchange, and most men fail it silently. You don't lose access because you lack value. You lose access because you ask for it indirectly. Asking leaks need. Need collapses hierarchy. The moment you signal eagerness, you are sorted downward. This is the first fracture. Power does not ask, is he capable? Power asks, will he cost me energy? Access is given to men who do not drain. Drain looks like explaining yourself too early, filling silence too fast, offering value before being invited, proving relevance before it's questioned. These are not polite behaviors. They are submission tells. Power reads them instantly. You don't earn access by being impressive. You earn access by being non-demanding. Scarcity decides access, not merit. Merit is evaluated only after scarcity is confirmed. This reverses everything you were taught. You thought, be useful implies be accepted. The hierarchy runs, be unmoved implies be evaluated. The unmoved man does not chase rooms. Rooms adjust around him. This is why powerful people delay replies, why they speak last, why they don't clarify intentions. They are not busy, they are filtering. Filtering creates pressure. Pressure exposes rank. Most men collapse under it. They rush to justify presence. They overoffer. They explain why they belong. That explanation is disqualifying because access is not about belonging. It is about cost. High-cost men are kept out. Low-cost men are allowed in. Cost is not money. It is psychological overhead. Powerful people protect bandwidth. Every interaction is a potential tax. So they test silently, they pause, they watch, they do nothing. Your behavior during that pause decides everything. If you fill the vacuum, you fail. If you react to uncertainty, you fail. If you seek reassurance, you fail. Because you reveal dependence on outcome. Outcome-dependent men are controllable. Controllable men are replaceable. Access never goes to replaceable men. This is why access feels unfair. It is not moral. It is mechanical. Access is granted to those who do not require it. This is the paradox. The man who wants in is already out. The man who can walk away is evaluated. Walking away is not arrogance. It is a non-attachment. Non-attachment signals internal rank. Internal rank is what power respects. This is why powerful people don't explain rejection. They don't need to. The hierarchy adjusted itself. You weren't punished. You were filtered. Once you see this, you stop trying to impress gates. You start becoming expensive to evaluate. You speak less. You wait longer. You let silence test others. You stop volunteering relevance. You let interest come to you. That shift is not cosmetic. It is structural. Because access is not something you request. It is something others feel unsafe denying. And that only happens when you no longer need it. They don't test you with questions. They test you with leaks. Every powerful person runs the same scan. Not consciously, biologically. They look for what escapes you under pressure. This is the leak test. Leaks are not mistakes. They are confessions. Urgency is a leak. Over-explaining is a leak. Eagerness is a leak. Defensiveness is a leak. Each one signals cost. Power avoids cost. You think powerful people judge talent. They judge containment. Can you hold yourself without spilling? That's the question. The moment silence stretches, most men panic. Their nervous system wants resolution. They rush to fill space. They clarify intentions. They justify presence. They add value prematurely. Every addition is subtraction because you revealed fear of exclusion. Fear collapses leverage. Power sees it instantly. You didn't fail because you were weak. You failed because you leaked need. Need is the most expensive trait in hierarchy. It demands attention. It demands reassurance. It demands management. No one grants access to a liability. This is why powerful people go quiet. They are not ignoring you. They are watching you leak. Delay is not rudeness. Delay is diagnosis. What you do during delay decides your ceiling. If you chase clarification, you signal dependence on approval. If you double text, you signal anxiety. If you over-deliver without request, you signal submission. Each signal downgrades you silently. You feel it later as distance. They stop replying. They stop inviting. They stop engaging. You think it's personal. It isn't. You price yourself out. Leaks are not emotional. They are economic. A man who leaks requires maintenance. Maintenance drains power, so power filters him out. The irony is brutal. The more you try to prove worth, the more unworthy you appear, because worth does not perform. Worth occupies. Powerful people do not want helpers. They want anchors. Anchors don't drift. Anchors don't ask where they belong. They hold position. This is why composure beats competence early. Competence is evaluated later. Composure is evaluated first. The leak test happens before conversation, before opportunity, before access. You pass it by doing nothing. Not frozen, not stiff, contained. Containment is dominance without motion. It tells the other nervous system, I am not affected by outcomes. That terrifies insecure systems. They expect reaction. When none appears, prediction fails. Prediction failure forces reassessment. Reassessment opens access. This is why silence works. Not because it's clever, because it removes data. No data means no targeting. No targeting means caution. Caution is respect. Respect opens doors. You don't force access. You make denial uncomfortable by not leaking, by not chasing, by not explaining. Once you understand the leak test, you stop worrying about impressing. You start worrying about containment, and containment is what power recognizes immediately. They are not confident. They are performing. That distinction changes everything. The attacker, the mocker, the gatekeeper who probes you. He is not testing strength. He is stabilizing himself. This is the insecure performer. He does not seek truth. He seeks confirmation. Confirmation that he is still above someone. That is why the attack is public. That is why the joke needs witnesses. That is why the accusation is loud. Power does not need an audience. Performance does. The insecure performer feels pressure he cannot name. Comparison, uncertainty, rank anxiety. He senses threat without proof, so he creates a stage. On that stage, he throws a cheap attack, a comment, a tease, a question framed as doubt. This is not aggression. It is measurement. He is measuring reaction. If you flinch, he exhales. If you explain, he settles. If you defend, he stabilizes. Your reaction regulates his nervous system. That is the exchange. You think you are protecting yourself. You are medicating him. This is why defense never ends attacks. It rewards them. Every explanation confirms that the stage works. Every clarification proves the probe was correct. You showed him he can move you. Once that happens, repetition follows. Insecure performers repeat what pays. This is not cruelty. It is efficiency. They are not dominant men. They are anxious managers of perception. They fear falling out of relevance. That fear drives everything. Look closely. Notice how they escalate when ignored. Volume increases, words sharpen, witnesses are recruited. This is panic behavior. Confident men do not escalate for attention. They withdraw or decide. Escalation signals loss of control. The insecure performer cannot tolerate silence. Silence erases his role. Without feedback, he cannot locate himself. That is why silence destabilizes him. He needs mirrors. When you don't reflect him, he fractures. The crowd senses this, not intellectually, biologically. They see effort where there should be ease. They hear urgency where there should be calm. Effort leaks weakness. The performer begins to look expensive. Every extra word costs him credibility. Every escalation lowers his rank. You did nothing. He exposed himself. This is the inversion. You are no longer the subject of his performance. He becomes the object of your observation. That shift is lethal because performers only function while unobserved. Once seen clearly, their mystique collapses. They depend on illusion. Illusion requires cooperation. You withdraw cooperation, the illusion fails. This is why powerful people never rush to counter mockery. They let performers hang themselves with momentum. Momentum without resistance reveals imbalance. This is judo without touch. The performer pushes harder. You remain still. His force carries him forward into exposure. Exposure collapses authority. Authority does not survive scrutiny. It survives assumption. The moment assumption breaks, rank readjusts. You didn't insult him. You didn't challenge him. You denied him regulation. That denial feels like threat. Not social threat, existential threat, because his identity is external. It lives in response. No response equals erasure. Erasure terrifies insecure men more than confrontation. That terror leaks. Voice tightens, smile strains, eyes scan the room. Crowd triangulation begins. He looks for allies to restore balance. The crowd hesitates. Why? Because they sense instability. Crowds align with stability, not fairness. You're stable, he is not. Alignment shifts, quietly, unannounced. This is how hierarchy moves, not with declarations, with discomfort. You learn something critical here. The attacker is not your enemy. He is your signal. He reveals where insecurity lives in the room. You don't need to fight him. You need to let him continue. His behavior will do the work. Once you understand the insecure performer, mockery loses emotional weight. It becomes diagnostic. You stop hearing words. You see function. You stop feeling targeted. You see self-regulation attempts. That detachment is altitude. From altitude, power becomes boring. And boring is dominance. Because dominance does not need drama. It needs containment. You contain yourself. He cannot. That difference decides rank. And once you see that, you never rush to respond again. Because every insecure performer will eventually reveal himself. If you give him enough silence. Silence is not neutral. It is systemic threat. Systems survive on flow. Words, reactions, attention. When flow stops, systems panic. This is the silent power shift. Mockery is not confrontation. It is a transaction attempt, input, a sentence, expected output, reaction. When reaction appears, the system confirms itself. When reaction does not appear, the system destabilizes. This is why silence is feared, not socially, biologically. The nervous system expects feedback. Feedback confirms position. Without feedback, position dissolves. That dissolution is felt instantly. Heart rate shifts. Breathing tightens. Tone changes. This is not emotion. It is a loss of orientation. The attacker does not know where he stands anymore. Silence removes reference points. Without reference, hierarchy becomes uncertain. Uncertainty halts extraction. Extraction requires confidence. Confidence requires prediction. Prediction fails in silence. This is why silence works before logic, before argument, before explanation. It denies the system data. Data scarcity is power. Powerful people understand this instinctively. They do not answer immediately. They do not clarify instantly. They do not fill gaps. They let pressure build. Pressure exposes structure. Most men collapse under it. They rush to discharge discomfort. Discharge looks like defending, explaining, justifying, correcting tone. Each discharge leaks rank. Silence does the opposite. It absorbs pressure. Absorption signals surplus. Surplus attracts alignment. Crowds don't side with truth. They side with stability. Stability looks like the man who does not move. So when you go silent, something shifts. The attacker expected resistance. He prepared dominant scripts. Silence deletes the script. No counter, no angle, no escalation path. So he improvises. Improvisation reveals insecurity. He escalates volume, sharpens language, recruits witnesses. This is panic behavior. Panic is expensive. The crowd notices. They don't say it aloud. They feel it. Why is he trying so hard? That question poisons him. Every extra word costs him authority. You said nothing. Silence turned his effort into liability. This is the power shift. You did not win. He lost in public, and public loss echoes. The crowd recalibrates. They stop watching you as target. They watch him as risk. Risk is avoided. Alignment moves. This is gravity shift psychology. Stillness becomes center. Movement becomes noise. The room orients around what holds. You hold. He leaks. This is why silence must be controlled. Silence with emotion leaks vulnerability. Silence with stillness radiates command. You are not sulking. You are unavailable. Unavailable men cannot be extracted from. Extraction failure triggers primal fear. Fear escalates behavior. Behavior exposes hierarchy. Hierarchy reorders itself. You didn't attack him. You removed his economy. That is more lethal than confrontation, because systems cannot tolerate starvation. They must feed or collapse. When you stop reacting, you starve the system. The attacker becomes the weak node. Systems protect themselves by sacrificing weak nodes. He overplayed. You didn't. This is why silence feels heavy. It is pressure without release. Most men cannot tolerate it. Their identity screams to fill the vacuum. They would rather lose rank than feel erased. You choose erasure over explanation. That choice rewires your position. You are no longer reactive matter. You are environmental pressure. Rooms adjust around pressure. They always have. Once you understand this, you stop thinking silence is politeness. You see it for what it is, a weapon that never swings. You are no longer inside the exchange. You are above it. This is observer axis control. Most men live on the reaction plane. They trade words. They trade emotions. They trade status without knowing it. You step off that plane. The moment you stop participating, geometry changes. Rooms do not reward noise. They reward orientation. The one who orients becomes reference. The rest become motion. Motion obeys reference. This is not philosophy, it is physics. Crowds are not fair. They are gravitational. They move toward what does not move. Stillness is mass. Delay is weight. Unreadability is density. Together they bend behavior without contact. You have seen this before and misunderstood it. The quiet man everyone watches. The one who speaks last. The one others check before laughing. He isn't liked. He's located. You become that location. From the observer axis, you do not chase reactions. You let reactions chase you. This terrifies insecure systems because targeting requires prediction. Prediction requires patterns. Patterns require reaction. You remove reaction. Prediction fails. Failure creates hesitation. Hesitation damages hierarchy. This is the silent takeover. Attackers rush you because they feel it slipping. They try to force reaction before recalibration completes. Reaction keeps you horizontal. You deny it. You wait. Waiting is not hesitation. Waiting is territory testing. You watch posture, breath, eye flicks. Who leans in? Who looks away? The room reveals itself when you stop talking. Talking blinds. Silence sharpens perception. From this axis, hierarchy leaks become visible. Who performs? Who defers? Who scans for approval? Who cannot tolerate pauses? The insecure performer tries to regain control. He jokes louder. He repeats the insult. He recruits laughter. This is not dominance. It is fear accelerating behavior. Acceleration exposes weakness. The crowd senses it. Not intellectually, biologically. Their bodies turn slightly away from him. Their attention returns to you. Why? Because you did not move. You did not defend. You did not counter. You did not perform. You occupied. Occupancy without announcement destabilizes systems. This is observer danger. The observer is dangerous because he sees without revealing. Visibility without exposure is power. Exposure without visibility is weakness. You invert the exchange. They show everything. You show nothing. This creates prediction armor. Prediction armor forces caution. Caution looks like respect. Respect opens space. You did not claim authority. You allowed it to form. This is why words are overrated. Words are tools for those without position. Position makes words optional. From the observer axis, engagement becomes selective. You do not respond to everything. You respond to nothing until leverage appears. This is attention withdrawal. Attention is fuel. You starve what seeks to burn. The performer panics. He escalates or collapses. Either way, the outcome is decided. The crowd recalculates. They stop watching you as a target. They start watching you as a reference. That is the axis shift. Once this happens, confrontation is unnecessary. Dominance is already settled. You do not win arguments. You end games by not playing. This is judo without movement. They push. You do not resist. Their momentum carries them into exposure. Your stillness becomes the blade. No swing, no blood. Just loss of balance. From this position, insults lose function. They do not land. Not because you are strong, because there is nowhere to land them. No surface, no hook, no return. You are no longer louder. You are no longer crueler. You are elsewhere. Above the transaction, watching, selecting, letting gravity do the work. This is observer axis dominance. And once you stand here, you never rush to speak again. Because the room speaks first. You no longer carry an identity that needs protection. That identity is dead. The one that explained, the one that clarified, the one that defended intentions. That version of you was a liability. Explanation is exposure. Exposure invites testing. Testing drains rank. Every time you explained yourself, you shrank the perimeter. Every defense admitted jurisdiction. You allowed others to judge you. That ends here. The undefended identity is not passive. It is unavailable. Unavailable to accusation. Unavailable to interpretation. Unavailable to manipulation. You do not argue your character. You do not prove motives. You do not justify silence. You let others project. Projection reveals more than interrogation ever could. This is prediction armor. A defended man can be modeled, an undefended man cannot. Prediction fails around you. Failure creates unease. Unease shifts hierarchy. The shamer no longer knows where to strike. He reaches for language. It slides off. He reaches for morality. It dissolves. He reaches for crowd approval. The crowd hesitates. Why? Because there is no signal to attack, no emotional heat, no reaction leak, no identity surface. This is where domination becomes implicit, not declared, not enforced, assumed. When you do not defend, you do not accept frames. Frames die without agreement. Accusations require consent. You refuse it silently. Silence here is not a tactic. It is an identity state. Your nervous system no longer flinches. Not because you are numb, because you are internally ranked. Self-ranked men do not negotiate value. They do not seek acquittal. They do not need to be understood. Understanding is for equals. Hierarchy does not explain itself. This is the final collapse. The collapse of the approval-based self. The self that wanted alignment, wanted fairness, wanted acknowledgement. That self was shaped for survival. Survival reacts. Sovereignty selects. You now select what deserves response. Most things will not. That indifference is not coldness. It is filtration. Filtration is power. Without it, everything drains you. With it, only leverage reaches you. People feel the shift before naming it. You speak less. You move slower. You do not fill gaps. Gaps intimidate. Gaps force others to reveal urgency. Urgency is weakness. You are no longer urgent. That makes you dangerous. Attacks stop feeling personal. They become diagnostic. Every insult exposes rank anxiety. Every accusation leaks insecurity. Every escalation proves loss of control. You do not counter. Their behavior convicts them. This is ghosting dominance, not disappearing physically, disappearing psychologically, present but unreachable, seen but ungrabbable. Systems built on extraction cannot touch you. They cannot hook you. They cannot harvest reaction. Their economy collapses. You did not fight them. You outgrew the battlefield. This is the undefended identity, not invisible, unreadable, not passive, prediction proof. You are no longer a participant. You are the terrain. Others move across you. You do not move for them. That is the final inversion. The world adjusts to you, and you never explain why.